Today is Friday, July 8th. What we know so far in a developing story about the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe apparently shot during a speech, and why the British Prime Minister is stepping down. Also, the saga surrounding a high-profile multi-billion-dollar failed startup has now come to an end, which former executive was just found guilty of fraud. Plus, how many spam accounts do you think Twitter removes daily? The company put out a number. And how you could help extend the lives of animals everywhere. The study underway right now that could change the future of pet care. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. We start with a story that shocked the nation of Japan. The longest-serving prime minister in Japanese history was shot at a campaign event. We're talking about former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who was in office until he stepped down in 2020 and is still influential in Japanese politics. Abe was rushed to the hospital and is said to be gravely injured. Japanese media say one person was arrested right away for attempted murder. The whole incident is seen as especially shocking in Japan, where gun violence is extremely rare. Handguns are banned in the country, and people go through extensive tests, training, and background checks to get shotguns and air rifles. Japan's current prime minister is scheduled to speak on the shooting later today. In the wake of several scandals, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is stepping down. He announced his resignation yesterday after 3 years in office. Johnson's own party has been pressuring him to do this because of all the controversy surrounding him. The latest scandal involved a politician he appointed who was accused of sexual misconduct. Johnson reportedly knew about the previous allegations before promoting him to a senior position. At least 59 officials quit the government over the past few days, saying that was the last straw. Before that, Johnson was already in hot water over what's been called Partygate. It came out that he hosted several parties during the UK's strict COVID-19 lockdown. Johnson has also been accused of being too close to political donors, lying to Parliament, and more. Even still, he's not out right away. Johnson says he will stay in his post until his party chooses a new leader, and that could take a while, like up to 3 months. Still, he promised there would not be any big policy changes in that time. Reports note that Johnson will be best remembered for leading Britain out of the European Union in what became known as Brexit, as well as rolling out one of the world's most successful vaccination campaigns to combat COVID-19. Johnson said he's sad to give up what he called the best job in the world, but he said it was the will of his party to choose a new leader. Already, that party has started forming a short list of his potential successors. So stay tuned. This week, Russia's foreign minister is coming face-to-face with the most vocal critics of the war in Ukraine. The G20, that represents the world's 20 largest economies, is getting together in Indonesia. And even though Russia is part of the meeting, the top agenda item is the impact of the Ukraine war, like how it's worsening inflation and contributing to a global food crisis. Western leaders are trying to pressure Russia into allowing Ukrainian food exports to reach hungry people, especially to those in Africa and the Middle East that rely on them. On the other side, Russia says the real issue is all the sanctions imposed to punish Russia for the war. But Western officials say that's not true. Meanwhile, foreign analysts think Russia is backing off a bit in Ukraine, but only temporarily. The American-based Institute for the Study of War says Russia is basically regrouping and getting ready for an even more brutal assault soon. And yesterday, Russian President Putin warned that the war is only just beginning. But it's also still far from won, and this pause also gives Ukraine some time to integrate new weapons and troops into the fight. American basketball champion Brittany Griner is pleading guilty on Russian drug charges. This even though the U.S. government has classified her as wrongfully detained. Griner explained that she did have vape cartridges with illegal cannabis oil in her luggage. But she says she didn't mean to break Russian law, that she left them there by mistake when she was in a rush to get to the airport. Griner's lawyers say they're hoping for the most lenient sentencing possible. Still, her trial is not expected to end anytime soon, and experts say she'll likely be sentenced to at least some time in a Russian prison camp, on top of the 5 months she's already spent in custody. The White House says Griner's guilty plea will have no impact on the American negotiations to bring her home. Griner will be back in court next week. 1 million Muslim pilgrims from around the world made it to the holy city of Mecca this week for the annual Hajj. All Muslims who are physically and financially able are supposed to complete the pilgrimage at least once in their lifetimes. In Saudi Arabia, they spend 5 days carrying out a set of rituals meant to bring them closer to God. This year, the end of Hajj coincides with the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Adha. It's also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, and that starts tomorrow. In the U.S., most Muslims will celebrate by visiting mosques and hosting large community gatherings. Many will also exchange gifts, make special meals, and give to charity. All right, we have much more news for you still ahead, but first, a word from our news sponsor. I'm excited to tell you about Thrive Cosmetics, where you can get great beauty and skincare products made with clean ingredients. I really appreciate knowing that their products never have parabens, sulfates, or phthalates. They're certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free. And I love their products. Specifically, I use the Liquid Balm Lip Treatment all the time. It feels really nice on, it looks great as a shiny, clear gloss, and it keeps my lips nice and moisturized. I just keep it in my purse all the time now, and I'm planning to get their exfoliating lip scrub next. I also like the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. It's a bestseller, and it has 20,000 5-star reviews for a reason. And no matter what products you buy from Thrive Cosmetics, here's an added bonus. Cause is in their name on purpose. Every purchase supports organizations that help communities thrive. Their mission is called Bigger Than Beauty, and it supports a variety of causes. Now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/newsworthy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/newsworthy for 15% off your first order. It marks the end of a high-profile saga in Silicon Valley. First, you'll remember the founder of the failed multi-billion-dollar startup Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes, was found guilty of fraud. And now, a federal jury has found the number 2 executive guilty as well. In fact, the verdict for Sunny Balwani was even more severe than Holmes's. The jury found Balwani guilty of 12 counts of fraud, saying he not only defrauded investors like Holmes did too, but also patients. Prosecutors say they both claimed the company's technology was capable of reliably running any blood test, and even though that wasn't true, they continued to manipulate those tests and to lie. The company was once valued at more than $9 billion, but was shut down in 2018, and it had been investigated. Balwani's attorney said they're disappointed, but they plan to consider all the options moving forward, including an appeal. Holmes has already appealed her verdict. But for now, Holmes is expected to be sentenced in September. Balwani is scheduled to learn his fate in November. Twitter apparently removes more than 1 million spam accounts every day. And that number is double what Twitter CEO had put out back in May. Company executives told reporters the latest figure this week, just as the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has threatened to walk away from buying the platform over this very topic. Bots, aka fake users. The Washington Post is citing sources who say Musk's team has now concluded that it cannot verify the data Twitter puts out about spam accounts. And because of that, the team has apparently stopped engaging in conversations about the $44 billion deal to buy Twitter. But at this point, at least, the terms of the deal mean it's not exactly easy for Musk to just walk away from this deal without something major happening to Twitter's business. And Twitter seems to be sticking to its plan to complete the deal. To be continued. Tributes are pouring in for a Hollywood legend who died this week. The Oscar-nominated actor James Caan passed away at 82 years old. He's best known for playing Sonny Corleone in The Godfather and Chicago Bears player Brian Piccolo in Brian's Song. Although you might also recognize him from his roles in Misery, Bottle Rocket, Elf, or one of many others. Several celebrities are saying goodbye by sharing stories and commending his talent. Like Al Pacino, who called Caan a, quote, great actor, a brilliant director, and my dear friend. Or Barbra Streisand, who wrote, so sorry to hear about Jimmy, he was so talented. Netflix wants your experience to sound more like you're at the movie theaters. So the company says it's bringing what's called spatial audio to more streaming devices. Spatial audio is meant to give the feel there are sounds all around you. It's similar to surround sound, but without the extra equipment. This latest rollout will mean users with devices that may not usually support this type of audio should now be able to get it. And all levels of subscribers will be able to use it too. Not everything you watch on Netflix supports this audio, though. You can type spatial audio in Netflix's search bar to see the movies and series that support this option now. And they will include popular original series like Stranger Things. There's a big initiative underway to improve the health and extend the lives of pets. Mars Petcare, that makes products like Pedigree dog food and Iams cat food, is behind this. The company just needs some four-legged volunteers to make it happen. It's looking for 10,000 dogs and 10,000 cats in the United States to donate blood and fecal samples once a year for 10 years. Through it all, they'll get free vet care, DNA testing, and activity trackers. Researchers are hoping to use the data from the samples to figure out the differences between pets who are healthy as they age and those who develop diseases. They're hoping their findings will help improve pet care of the future. And they say it'll be good for the pets involved, since researchers will be able to recognize any changes and treat any issues sooner than they would without regular testing. Pet owners will start being recruited at Banfield and VCA clinics across the country. That is it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. I know the pain of trying to find a new doctor. There's a lot you have to know about them that is not always easy to find, like will they take your insurance, will they understand your needs, and when will they actually be available? ZocDoc helps you find those answers faster and easier. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. For example, I'm on the hunt right now for a new dentist, and I appreciate that I can easily find options that are nearby and in-network with just one click. Plus, I can filter for things like specialty, availability, and more. I found options that can get me in the very next day if that's what I needed. Or when quality is most important, I can read through the verified patient reviews to see what other real humans had to say about their visits. Just go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Now back to Feel Good Friday. Thousands of tires that were dumped around Memphis, Tennessee are now being put to good use. Officials recently unveiled a new hard-surface walking and biking trail made from rubber crumbs of illegally discarded tires. The trail goes for nearly 3 miles, making it one of the longest rubber-bearing paths in the U.S. It all started about 3 years ago when hundreds of volunteers and local contractors started picking up the tires. They eventually gathered 24,000 of them and dropped them off at a recycling center where they were turned into crumbs. Then those crumbs were sent to the T.O. Fuller State Park, where the modern loop trail was created. But this actually is not the only initiative like this in the U.S. A few months ago, Alabama unveiled new roads and parking areas made of recycled tires at a state park. And Kentucky recently welcomed applications for similar projects. The Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation called it a, quote, quintessential example of recycling in full circle. All right, we will be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode about Web3. What is it? Why some say it's the internet of the future, and why others are so skeptical. Then join us again Monday for your next news roundup. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.